What are fertilizers? And I'm also going to give you a very important idea about fertilizers, that they may not be as good as you think, okay? So fertilizers is of course substances that we add to the soil to make it more fertile, alright? Primarily all fertilizers are NPK fertilizers, nitrogen for N, P for phosphorus, K for potassium, okay? The best fertilizers are NPK fertilizers, which include nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Nitrogen is needed for growth of the plant to make amino acids, and phosphorus and potassium are also needed for substances like chlorophyll, manufacturing chlorophyll, or for the growth of the plant and for the health of the plant, okay? Good. Now, fertilizers, one very big drawback about fertilizers, I'm not saying they're really bad to use. Of course, we need to make the soil more fertile, but it's more about using them in the right way, okay? Because fertilizers can very easily lead to runoff, especially in the rivers, okay? For plants near the rivers and lake, fertilizers that are placed near these areas can lead to runoff, and runoff can lead to eutrophication. What is eutrophication? Eutrophication. Okay, so when the runoff comes into the, let's say, lake, alright, what's going to happen is that increased growth of producers is going to occur, alright? A lot of algae is going to grow, and this is known as algal bloom, alright? When suddenly there's a huge amount of producers that grow. Now, algal bloom is going to be growing on top of the surface of the lake water, and it is going to prevent sunlight from reaching the organisms beneath under the water, okay? Why? Because the runoff led to algal bloom, too much producers growth, too much algae covered the surface of the water, not enough sunlight reaching the organisms below under the water, okay? Those organisms that need the sunlight are going to die. When these organisms that need the sunlight, when they die, because algae is covering the blockage of sunlight, okay, when they die, they will decompose. When they decompose, they're going to produce decomposing bacteria. The decomposing bacteria will then begin to grow in that area, and the decomposing bacteria will remove the dissolved oxygen in the water. When dissolved oxygen in the water begins to decrease, now the organisms that even need the dissolved oxygen in water to survive will begin to die. So this is a very big disadvantage, and this process is known as eutrophication, okay? So this is why fertilizers need to be used wisely and placed in areas where, let's say, we can avoid runoff, or in areas where we know that there is not a wide biodiversity of organisms living, like famous or large communities of rivers and lakes.